Pat McAfee is a modern-day Renaissance man, best known for his enthusiastic and fun personality, hosting one of the top sports podcasts in the world and co-hosting College Football Game Day. He's a retired NFL Pro Bowler, pro wrestling enthusiast and participant, and he's claimed to have been a soccer phenom in his youth. It's all in good fun on the show, but there is some real truth to his claims, and the extent of his numerous talents is surprising. Now get set, because this is the story of the rise of Pat McAfee. McAfee grew up on the outskirts of Pittsburgh in a town called Plum, Pennsylvania, where he grew up playing soccer. He started off playing at the age of 3, but primarily as a goalie until high school, then specializing as a striker and defender. He attended Plum High School, where he earned a starting spot on the varsity soccer team as a freshman, and by his sophomore year, he was named first team All-Western PA. Around this time, he was actually selected as one of only 36 players from 11 states in the entire Northeast region to join an Olympic development program, where he competed internationally at tournaments in places like Austria and Switzerland. McAfee's first love was soccer, but his mom can take credit for converting his soccer talent to the football field. She found local punt, pass, and kick competitions that she thought Pat would do well at, so she entered his name, and he won, then won again and again until by his sophomore year, he won the National Punt, Pass, and Kick Championship. And although Pat had never played organized football up to this point, his performance in the Punt, Pass, and Kick Championship drew the attention of Penn State, and they even invited him to a kicking camp that summer where Pat wowed the coaches with his strong leg and accuracy despite never kicking in a real game. They assured Pat that they'd be offering him a scholarship so long as he joined his school's team and stayed consistent, so McAfee stayed true and didn't attend any other college camps. Pat joined Plum High's football team the next fall as their kicker and punter while also continuing to shine on the soccer field. He held up his end of the bargain with Penn State, seeing immediate success in his first year of real football, despite only playing with the team on game days. And after the season, he returned to Penn State for another kicking camp. And because he'd done everything they asked and more, Pat assumed this camp would be when Penn State would officially offer him his scholarship. But they actually invited another kicker as well, a fellow Pennsylvania local named Kevin Kelly. McAfee didn't shy away from the competition and went on to outkick Kelly throughout the camp, heading back home to Plum just waiting for his scholarship offer to come in. But soon after the camp, McAfee was listening to a local sports radio show when they announced that Penn State had just offered Kelly a scholarship to be their kicker of the future, leaving McAfee in limbo. He continued to play football, but without Penn State's offer, his name didn't get out to many other colleges at the time, so he didn't receive much attention. Pat was devastated, but luckily, his father, Tim, wouldn't let his son's new dream die. He put together a highlight tape of Pat nailing field goals with ease from 60 yards and further and sent it out to every major program he could think of. But the only school to respond was Kent State. They offered McAfee a scholarship, and feeling like he didn't have any other options, he verbally committed to them. In the meantime, he focused on soccer, where unlike football, he was receiving a good amount of college attention and was again named first team All-Western PA. But during his junior season, Pat got an unexpected call from kicking guru Mike McCabe, who gave him a last-minute invite to a national kicking camp he was hosting in Miami, where around 100 colleges would be in attendance. McAfee agreed, but the only problem was that the trip to get to Miami was around $1,500, and Pat was a broke high school kid. He asked his parents to help out, but they wanted him to honor his commitment to Kent State, so Pat had to figure out the finances on his own if he wanted to attend the camp. So, one night, he told his parents he was going to sleep at a friend's house, but in reality, he took the $100 that he had to his name and using a fake ID, snuck into an underground poker game in the basement of a local bar. Fate and a mean poker face helped him turn his $100 into more than the $1,500 that he needed, so the next day, he bought his plane ticket to Miami and made his way out to the camp. He impressed every coach in attendance, and by the end of it, he even claimed the camp's MVP trophy just before rushing back to the airport in time to make his flight home. And then, just 1 month before National Signing Day, a coach from West Virginia showed up in McAfee's high school cafeteria and offered him a scholarship. He flipped his decision from Kent State and committed to the Mountaineers on the spot, and then went on to have a stellar senior year in both soccer and kicking in football. In soccer, he ended the year being again named first team All-Western PA for a third time, showing off his big leg by putting up 19 goals and 11 assists. And along with his dominant senior soccer season, he also managed to be rated as the #1 kicker in the nation in football. Everything fell into place for McAfee, and the next fall, he landed in Morgantown, West Virginia to begin his college career. He earned the starting spot at kicker his freshman year, going 11 of 18 on the year. And by midway through his sophomore campaign, he became both the starting kicker and punter. And while he was a natural at punting, he really only punted because he had a strong leg, but he never quite learned how to punt directionally to be effective. Ultimately, he helped West Virginia win 4 consecutive bowl games, including the Sugar Bowl as a freshman and Fiesta Bowl as a junior. As a junior, he was named to the all-conference team and was listed as a kicker to watch heading into his senior year. And crazy enough, going into his senior year, McAfee still held a strong love for soccer, so he briefly joined the Mountaineers soccer team during summer workouts, but ultimately he chose to focus on football. He had his best year as a senior, being named an All-American and finishing as a finalist for both the Lou Groza Award for the nation's best kicker and the Ray Guy Award for the nation's top punter, which also earned him a spot at the Senior Bowl. By the end of McAfee's college career, he was West Virginia's all-time leading scorer and ranked third in conference history in field goals made. After his time at West Virginia came to an end, Pat was ready for his chance at the NFL. He showed out on his pro day, but only drew real interest from 3 teams, the Colts, Cowboys, and Patriots, all looking at him as a kicker. But a young Pat McAfee didn't always make the wisest decisions, and prior to the draft in 2009, he decided to take part in a wrestling match held in West Virginia, something he'd always wanted to do, but this caused some concern among the teams thinking of drafting him. Despite this, his love for wrestling remained and would come up later in his life. The Cowboys were the only team to tell him outright that they wanted him, so when his name hadn't been called yet towards the end of the draft, he was discouraged after the Cowboys made their final selection, and it wasn't McAfee. But luckily the Colts traded up and took him in the 7th round, but as a punter, not a kicker. He began his NFL career in 2009 as the Colts punter and kickoff specialist, helping the team reach the Super Bowl his rookie season, but they'd end up losing to the Saints. Pat had a good year though, and he was even named to the All-Rookie team. He remained consistent during his NFL career, being named to 2 Pro Bowls in 2014 and 2016, though he did have some controversy over this time, as he enjoyed himself a little too much on occasion, and was once arrested following a late-night swim in an Indianapolis canal that resulted in a 2-game suspension. Other than this one incident, McAfee did nothing but produce for the Colts, but after multiple knee surgeries, he chose to retire prematurely to pursue a career in sports entertainment with Barstool Sports. Upon his retirement, he held the NFL record for highest career punting average with 41.1 yards, which still stands today. And in his final year with the Colts, he redeemed himself of the mistakes he made early in his career and ended up being named as the Colts Man of the Year. McAfee eventually left Barstool to start his now famous podcast, The Pat McAfee Show, which has taken over the sports world. This also led to him most recently joining the cast of College Football Game Day. But McAfee isn't only involved in football, as back in 2018, he took his passion for pro wrestling and started working with the WWE as a pre-show analyst and commentator, which he continues to this day, even making his own wrestling debut in 2020. McAfee is extremely grateful for his success and continues to give back to the community, donating over $6 million to different charitable organizations, including his hometown high school, children's hospitals, and programs for underprivileged youth, among others. Pat McAfee has always bet on himself, and because he stayed true to himself and never wavered from his dreams, his bets always seemed to hit. McAfee is also on the ballot for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so who knows, maybe he'll add NFL Hall of Famer to his extensive list of titles before all is said and done. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, as it helps me out a ton as I try to grow the channel. And check me out on TikTok at Get Set Sports with shorter form stories as well. But until next time, get set, because I'll have another video coming soon.